Hello everybody. In this video, we will explore the definition of planet and understand why Pluto was demoted from planet to dwarf planet. The difference between a star and a planet is not obvious from a casual glance at the night sky. In fact, the term star historically applied to almost any shining object in the sky. This picture shows the northern sky taken in 2006 with the constellation of Leo, one of the largest in the sky. What do you think is this shining object in the lower right portion of the image? Is it a planet or a star? It is Regulus, also known as Alpha Leonis, the brightest star in Leo. What do you think is this other shining object to the right of Regulus? Is it a planet or a star? It is a planet. It is Saturn, the second largest planet in the solar system. So as you can see, using your naked eye to differentiate between a planet and a star is a very difficult task. Here's another example. This image, also from 2006, shows two other constellations, Libra to the right and Scorpio to the left. One of these objects is a planet and the other is a star. Would you like to guess which one is the planet? The object on the top of the image is the planet. It is Jupiter traveling through the constellation of Libra. The object on the bottom left is Antares, also known as Alpha Scorpii. It is the brightest object in the constellation of Scorpius and the 15th brightest star in the night sky. So to the naked eye, the difference between stars and planets becomes clear only if you observe the sky over a period of many days or weeks. And that's because stars will remain fixed for a long time, but planets, they will appear to move slowly among the constellation of stars over time. This animation shows how Mars, the planet closer to us, moves faster in the sky than the planets farther away, like Jupiter and Saturn. The Moon, which is even closer than Mars, moves even faster over the same period. The word planet comes from the Greek for wanderer, and in ancient times, it applied to all objects that appeared to move or wander among the constellations. This time-lapse video shows how Mars wandered through the sky, appearing to loop around and move back in his trajectory through the sky. This phenomenon, called retrograde motion, is caused by Earth passing a slower moving planet that is further out in orbit. The Sun and the Moon were counted as planets because they moved steadily through the sky. Earth did not count as a planet since it's not something that we see in the sky, and it was presumed to be stationary at the center of the universe. The ancient Greeks recognized 7 objects as planets: the Sun, the Moon, and the 5 planets early visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The original definition of planet began to change about 500 years ago, when we learned that Earth is not the center of the universe, but rather one of the objects that orbits the Sun. At that time, Earth was added to the list of planets, and the Sun and the Moon were removed from the list. Uranus was added as a planet in 1781 after his discovery by William Herschel, and Neptune was added after his discovery in 1846. Ceres was discovered between Mars and Jupiter in 1801 and originally was classified as a planet. But as many more objects were subsequently found in the same region, known today as the asteroid belt, astronomers realized that Ceres was only the largest of a class of similar objects in the asteroid belt. Some of those larger objects are listed in this image. Pluto, discovered in 1930, was identified as the ninth planet. But Pluto is much smaller than Mercury and is even smaller than many planetary moons, like our own moon, as you can see here. It's very different from all the terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, or the gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn, and even the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. Charon, Pluto's huge satellite, is nearly half the size of Pluto and shares Pluto's orbit. But even with all these differences, Pluto continued as a planet throughout the 1980s. But things began to change in the 1990s with some new discoveries. As a result of better observations and improved detection of very small, very distant objects in the early 1990s, astronomers began finding numerous icy worlds orbiting the Sun in a donut-shaped region called the Kuiper Belt. With the discovery of the Kuiper Belt and its thousands of icy bodies, known as KBO, or Kuiper Belt objects, astronomers began thinking of Pluto more as a large KBO and less as a planet. Then, in 2005, a team of astronomers announced that they had found a 10th planet. It was a KBO similar in size to Pluto, and people began to wonder, what is a planet anyway, and how many out there? Suddenly, the answer to these questions didn't seem so clear. The International Astronomical Union, a worldwide organization of astronomers, took on the challenge of classifying the newly found KBO, which today is called Eris. In 2006, IAU passed a resolution that defined planet and established a new category, dwarf planet. Eris, Ceres, Pluto, and two more recently discovered KBOs named Haumea and Makemake are the dwarf planets recognized by the IAU. There may be another 100 dwarf planets in the solar system, and hundreds more in and just outside the Kuiper Belt. According to the most recent definition of a planet, adopted by the International Astronomical Union in 2006, a planet must do three things. It must orbit a star, like the Sun. It must be big enough to have a spherical shape, and it must be big enough that its gravity cleared away any objects of a similar size near its orbit around the Sun. So this resolution also provided a definition for dwarf planets. Like planets, dwarf planets must orbit around the Sun and not around other objects, and must be big enough to assume a near spherical shape. But they do not need to have cleared the neighborhood around its orbit and can share the orbit with numerous other objects. That's the case of Pluto, Eris, and many others. As our knowledge deepens and expands, the more complex and intriguing the universe appears. Researchers have now found hundreds of extrasolar planets, also called exoplanets, that reside outside our solar system. There may be billions of exoplanets in the Milky Way galaxy alone, and some may be habitable or have conditions favorable to life. Can our new definitions of planet be applied to these newly found objects? Or will we need to change our definition again? The answer to these questions remains to be seen. So in summary, we learned that our understanding of the universe and our place in it has changed over time. New information can cause us to rethink what we know and reevaluate how we classify objects in order to better understand them. New ideas and perspectives can come from questioning a theory or seeing where a classification breaks down. Over historical time, the definition of objects categorized as planets have changed. Defining the term planet is important because such definitions reflect our understanding of the origins, architecture, and evolution of our solar system. As we learn more about the universe and the variety of celestial objects, will our definitions need to change again? Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video.